What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to my workshop for another unboxing. And if you can tell by the title, this is a Boker knife, and I want you guys to not be confused. This is not a Boker Plus knife, as in this piece of crap was. This is actually the Boker Tree brand, which in my past experiences have held much higher quality and fit and finish and all that for the Boker company. Now I've owned, I think I've owned 3 Boker Tree brand knives, and I sold them all to fund other knives because, you know, I'm a knife freak, so what can I say, right? So in light of my past few videos, because you've noticed I've been picking up a lot of Boker Plus knives lately, and especially this one here, the quality has been pretty much less than stellar. I've decided to pick this one up. Now this one I saw, the ST3 I saw, and I was like, I instantly fell in love with it because it ticked all the right boxes for me. And it was just totally perfect for what I would consider a an EDC gentleman's folder carry. At first I was too what is it called again? Concerned about the size of it, because when I first saw it, it was on Knife Center's website. They said it was supposed to be 3.75, and then the smaller version was under 3 inches, which was too small for me, and 3.75 is too large. However, I looked on Boker's actual website and said the SD3 is actually just 3.4. Now that puts it right in the ballpark for me to actually want to carry it and consider it more of a gentleman's carry in my own terms, you know, in my interpretation. So I decided to get it, hoping that Boker's website is actually correct. So let's go and unbox this and see what we got here. And doing the honors is the Boker Plus A2, which again, if you guys have watched the other videos, you know I put a lot of work into fixing up this knife, which should have been my problems to fix in the first place. But it cuts just fine, just like any other knife, and you know it works just fine now. But again, you know, a lot of my own time and custom work, so to speak, has been put back in this knife. So that knife will be reviewed later. I'm sure you guys already have a pretty good idea of what I'm about to say about it. But anyway, let's hop in here, and here it is. And that's it. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. Now, first of all, the Boker Tree line have always been, well, I'll tell you what, let's zoom in a little bit. The Boker Tree line has always had a slightly different type of style of boxes, and you can tell there's the Boker Tree logo as opposed to the, well, forgot I filed that one off. As opposed to the little plus sign, for those of you who don't know. Now, these usually come in the same kind of style of magnetic boxes, just slightly different. So let's see what we got. All right, so we got some documentation, and as always, they come with a little kind of generic pouch with their logo on it, and they have a quality control sticker, which is pretty much standard. And then it's held in a plastic baggie with these little bungees on it. And I must say, this is really, really nice looking so far. And then you got your little pivot adjustment tool, as well as and I found out what this is. This is a blank out tool. In case you live in a place where you have knife laws that strictly state that your knives can only be two-handed opening, and so you can go ahead and take off the thumb disc and just replace it with a blank out. So let's go and take a look at this. And let me get this in a little bit more. So here it is, the Boker SD3, John W. Smith design, and wow, I must say this is very, very nice so far. Oh, it is numbered, so this is number 41, and right off the bat I noticed is that the pocket clip, it looks like they blanked it out, or not blanked it out, but they recessed it. So way too many knives out here, if I even have one that's like this, where they have a fold-over clip. They make the screws stick out underneath the clip here over the fold, so when you try and get it into your pants pocket, it just stops where the screw head is. This one is actually recessed, so that's very nice. I'm really liking that. Nice and elegant. Let's see here. Pocket clip feels a little weak, so to speak, but I guess it's going to be functional enough. So let's see here. Now this is supposed to be running on bearings, which is actually it's quite smooth. That shit's very smooth. It's let's see, centering I think is ever so slightly off. Which is interesting, because most of the time when anything from the Boker tree line is usually pretty darn good, but I will address that later. Everything else feels pretty good. This is amazing right here. You can almost feel very little delineation between the two materials. This side I feel a tiny bit more, but but I'm really looking for it now. I mean, this is more of a scrutiny video than anything else. But oh man, I love that. Look at that blade shape. This is absolutely beautiful. Got a top swedge, slight bit of belly, ever so slight drop point, and of course the thumb disc. Let's see, jimping is pretty decent. It's not going to really hold your fingers in too much though. It's a liner lock, and again, like I said, it runs on bearings, and it seems to be pretty darn smooth so far. That is weird to me that I'm thinking bearings are being overused in a lot of knives these days, and when I think bearings, I think flipper knives. To me, there's really almost no reason to have it on a knife of this style, only because if I was to pull this out in the office, and you guys already know by watching my previous video what I mean when I talk about a gentleman's folder, is that it's really not designed to be flicked out fast, and use. You want to just open the knife, nice and gradual, and it's just I think it's just kind of overused in my opinion. Now let me zoom out here, and I'm going to bring out a few more examples. Oh, maybe not that far. Get this out of the way. So my interpretation of a gentleman's folder, and one of my ultimates gentleman folders here would be the Marty Young Ursus here, carbon fiber handle scales, titanium bolsters, and it just just very discreet, very nice looking. This is about the 3.25 blade length, so it's going to be ever so slightly shorter than the SD3 here, but just very elegant looking. And I love this combo. I love it with the bolsters and the handle materials. I mean, similar knives would be, to me, would be the Solingen PXL. Oops, just realized I had it all crooked here. We got knives that are slightly smaller, which is like the Sog Facet here, really beautiful. For production knives, this is actually quite nicely done. Love the mirror finish on it, and nice and small and discreet. You can totally tell the size difference on these. This is going to be a slightly larger, slightly heavier carry on the SD3. The Facet is just really, slim and trim, and it's got the deep carry clip as well. I'm not really crazy about how they milled out the word SOG in the clip, but otherwise, it's a very awesome knife. Sharp. I don't really use it too much, only because of the, of the mirror finish. I love mirror finishes. I hate to mess it up too much, but at the same time, it's a knife. It's designed to be used. What am I thinking of? And then you got your slightly larger kind of bolster knives like the Boker Plus, and I got another Marty Young here. This is my custom one-off, at least one-off for as far as I'm aware of, since I was one who designed the knife, and Marty was one that made it for me. But this you're getting into the 3.5-inch blade length, but again with the titanium and the carbon fiber. And so these are what I would be considered more like gentlemanly knives, and of course the smaller size would be even more what I consider a gentleman carry folder. But so far this SD3, I mean, it is really smooth, very easy to open. Here you have a J.W. Smith's logo on here. Let me get this thing back down. Got your logo. And yeah, I have to say, I'm really quite impressed so far. It doesn't, I don't hear the same kind of squeaking coming out of the bearings, and that seems like they have this one fine-tuned enough. Like I said, my only nitpick is that the centering is ever so slightly off. We're talking like a hair or two off. And I guess in real world practice, it's not really going to be that big of a deal whether the centering is off or not. But for us knife nuts, these are the kind of things that we pick up on. Oh, centering's a little off. Oh, it doesn't feel quite as smooth as it could be. But in real world practice and use, there really has no no effect on the way the knife cuts probably. Actually, you know, that's pretty good. Let's do a bit of cutting with this and see what happens here. Let me get all these knives off the table. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring that box back in here, and we're just gonna slice that bad boy up because I mean I gotta break it down and recycle it anyways. So let's try it out. Hang on here. Get that away. All right. So the edge on here, it doesn't really have that toothy feel, but let's see here. If I can do this on camera without cutting myself here. Yep, pretty sharp so far. Try left-handed here. I'm not a left-handed person, well, at least not with knives, at least. Oops. Yeah, it seems pretty sharp. Hold on here. Yeah, that definitely is it's pretty sharp. Hang on here. Ooh, wow, this thing just glided through it. So you can tell it is definitely slices. So that is that's a well sharpened knife right there, in my opinion. So far so good. All right, well, this is just unboxing and first impressions of the Boker SD3. Again, not to be confused with the Boker Plus line. Very awesome so far. I mean, I'm gonna start carrying this. Right now, I got the Boker Plus Excalibur in my pocket, and this is what I would consider a true gentleman's folder, although it's a little bit on the large size. I wish they made a 3.25 version of this, but this has got the really nice Sebenza feeling deployment, and this is with the pivot tightened all the way down, and it is just very smooth. There's really no reason for you to open up a gentleman's folder quickly. That's why I thought it was kind of weird that this actually has, oh, it has a little bit of lock stick. Okay, so this thing has a little bit of lock stick, but I'm sure they'll break in. I mean, most knives will have a little bit of lock stick in certain cases. Anywho, there's really no reason for a knife to actually have, or not a knife, but like more of a gentleman's carry to have like bearings on it, only because, you know, if you put like phosphor bronze washers, and even if you put Teflon in this, the Teflon washers are extremely smooth. For example, this PXL here, this is on Teflon washers. Look at that. No need for bearings, and it is just really smooth, unbelievably smooth. This Marty Young, I believe, is on phosphor bronze washers, and look at that, just very smooth. This is not on This is not on bearings. Yet this SD3 is actually on bearings, and while yes, it is very smooth, I almost don't see a need for it. It's almost kind of like overkill for this knife, really. But you know, I guess at the price tag that you're paying, and also let's not forget that the trend these days, or the trending thing of knives these days is to have bearing pivots on them, and you know, for that they can probably put a higher price tag on it. But you know, I probably could have done with just regular phosphor bronze washers. I mean, it's just, there's really no point to it, in my opinion. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I know you guys are probably screaming, "Hey, why'd you get another Boker?" You know, Jeff Juice said I was going on like a Boker craze, but I just wanted to kind of prove a point that the Boker tree line does make higher quality knives, and so far the fit and finish on this thing is impeccable for a knife in its class and its price point. Expect to pay around $250 for this, you know, on the secondary market. Or I'm sorry, not secondary market, for most retailers, I would assume. So far, I've only seen Knife Center carry this knife, and they have it for $250. I earned enough points to get a slight discount, you know, because I buy a lot of knives. Otherwise, I noticed that Boker's website have it for like $3 something, so I'm assuming if for example BHQ or some of the other places picked it up, the price may differ a little bit. But overall, I'm assuming expect to pay around $200 or over $200 for this. But so far, my impressions are very favorable, much better than the Boker Plus POS here, and hopefully hopefully this will serve me well in the upcoming weeks when I'm going to carry and test and use this knife, you know, and I keep on saying it, look forward to reviews of all the other knives. Just a quick update, the Fox knives did respond to me about the sheath, and they said they are going to be sending one out, and I'm assuming it's coming from Italy, so it's going to probably take a while to get here. I still haven't received it yet, but I did get a very, very nice response from them, and I'm very happy with the customer service so far, so way to go for Fox knives. All right. So, again, thank you for joining me. Take care. Any questions or comments, of course, leave it below. And I'll catch you guys on the very next one.